So first and foremost, okay. So after the AOC endorsement came down for Zohran Mamdani, our GOAT, okay, our legend, these past couple of days in the New York City mayoral primary race has definitely increased the heat a little bit, increased the tension a little bit, okay, and part of that intensity has come from people saying that Zohran is a vicious anti-Semite. I believe if you want to see the full scope of the hysteria over there in New York, what's that account that I use from the guy that is a journalist at the Forward? I'm forgetting now. I believe like an Orthodox Jewish community in New York basically said, if Zohran becomes mayor, not a single Jew can walk the streets of New York, something along those lines, which is insane. And numerous people coming out and finding Zohran in the streets to be like, why do you not want Israel to be an ethno-state? Oh, here it is. Arno Rosenfeld, ADL Chief Jonathan Greenblatt. Oh, sorry. Jonathan Greenblatt compares student protests to ISIS and Al-Qaeda is fucking psychotic. That's not what I was going to say. Hold on. Where is it? This was what I was looking for. Yeah. Far Rockaway Jewish Alliance, representing a large part of the Orthodox community in Queens, says Cuomo is no Zaddik, and no one claims he is. But we're not choosing a Rebbe, we're choosing a shield. Choosing not to vote for Cuomo isn't neutrality, it's handing Mamdani a victory. Far Rockaway Jewish Alliance says vote Cuomo or you won't be able to live as Torah Jews in New York City. Zaddik means saint? Okay, thank you. Incredible. Incredible levels of hysteria. A couple of my normie friends who live in New York were weirded out by that Israel question at the debate. They were being pretty sympathetic and considering voting for him. Yeah, I believe the person who also asked that question, by the way, used to be a staffer for Cuomo or something and has like retweeted some insane things. Retweeted some insane statements about Zohran since that debate. So that's also something to consider. But I think this answer was fairly effective in neutralizing the argument. The constant questions of Israel. Do you believe, what do you think about Israel? Do you believe Israel has a right to exist? Do you believe Israel has a right to exist as a Jewish state? Why won't you say that Israel, why do you keep saying Israel shouldn't be killing children? Like, are you anti-Semitic? These sorts of questions, I think, are cumbersome and bothersome. Evet, yaparsan iki de. These sorts of questions are fucking annoying, okay? It is perfectly valid and perfectly understandable for every American citizen to be like, I don't think Israel should be doing this, you know? Especially because our tax dollars and our full-blown support, political support, puts us in the crosshairs and whether we like it or not, make us morally culpable, okay? The American government is an active participant in this genocide. They are a belligerent in this genocide, and we are morally culpable, okay? This is a real issue. This is something that I carry with me, a weight that I carry with me, and you should as well every single day. This is why you have to do everything you can in your power to try and put an end to it, okay? Having said that, however, are you banned tomorrow? Wait, what? Why? Why would I be banned tomorrow? Account created February 19, 2025. Following since February 19, 2025. Are you banned tomorrow? First question in the chat. Yeah, the question, I knew I recognized your name. Melissa DeRosa, former New York governor, Andrew Cuomo and his top aide, Melissa DeRosa, were involved in an emotional romantic relationship during his tenure. DeRosa was married at the time and stood by Cuomo during significant moments. This isn't the actual person. This isn't the. I don't think this is the. This is not the actual person who asked that question, but the person who the moderator retweeted this. The moderator who asked that question retweeted Melissa DeRosa. Melissa Russo is the one who asked the question. Melissa DeRosa posted this, and Melissa Russo is the one who retweeted it. Okay? Yeah, the moderator who decided to change the rules of the lightning round to demand a different answer from Zohran already had a horse in the race, by the way. Melissa Russo is the moderator who asked the question, and she was retweeting Melissa DeRosa, who was not only a staffer, but also a lover of Andrew Cuomo. Okay, the reporter, quote unquote reporter, who was a moderator is Melissa Russo. She literally has been reposting this woman who worked with Andrew Cuomo. Her brother and her parents shamed her on Twitter for her insane tweet. Melissa, it's your brother. Mom and dad want you to stop tweeting this stuff like this. It is not who we are. That's awesome. This person follows me. Nice. So that's one aspect of this. And I already told you that this is this, I think, breeds resentment and animosity because it's such a fucking spectacularly stupid question. It's one that I always yell about, like Israel being this like unique nation state that you have to do a loyalty pledge to become a fucking comptroller in Illinois or whatever. I think is insane. And it makes people more insane when they hear this kind of demand because they don't have the same level of loyalty or the same positive feelings and the same positive association with Israel. So all this does is breed resentment against Israel. And also, depending on how That's crazy. Or depending on how people present Israel, oftentimes partnering Israel with Jews in America, this kind of question also breeds enmity towards Jews, okay? Given that dangerous conflation between Israel and Judaism, Israel and Jews. It is fucking ridiculous. It is also dangerous. There is no equivalent to this, okay? The example I used was Ukraine. America has a stake in the Russian invasion of Ukraine. America has a stake in this. Why are no questions being asked about Ukraine? But there are questions being asked about Israel. And it's not necessarily just whether or not you think what Israel is doing is unconscionable, but beyond that, it's actually how much do you actually offer loyalty to the state of Israel? That's fucking insane. That is an insane question to ask. Oh, you want to be the mayor of New York? Okay. Can you please tell me that you're going to go to Israel? You love the Holy Land?
Would you feel comfortable slicing open your left hand and swearing a blood oath that you will never again criticize the state of Israel? No, I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that. Fuck you. Mr. Cuomo, do you like pizza? I like spaghetti and meatballs and smelling my assistant's hair. Yeah!
Yeah. Ironically, John, this much attention towards false anti-Semitism will inevitably create anti-Semitic organizations and people. It already is. The overcorrection against Jewish people is going to be very scary. Once support for Israel from the government stops, anti-Semites are going to talk about how much our taxes went to Israel and blame the Jews. 100%. It's already started. It's already happening. It is happening right now. It is already happening. I warn against this all the fucking time, which is why I also find it insane that organizations that are supposed to be tasked with combating anti-Semitism will come after people like myself because they see me as a much larger hurdle. They see me as a much bigger problem than the likes of people who actually are simply criticizing Israel to be anti-Semitic. Organizations that know better. Okay. Yes, I'm going to watch the overzealous video about left-wing Zionism, how to sell an ethno-state. Liberal Zionism, left-wing Zionism, and how to sell an ethno-state. We'll talk about that. Speaking of which, okay, going back to the ADL, before we go into Zohran, who also followed up on the ridiculous line of questioning with a really good answer. Here it is.
I feel like you did not want to make a definitive statement on this. Do you support Israel's right to exist as a Jewish state?
I support Israel's right to exist as a state with equal rights. I believe that every state...
Why not as a Jewish state?
Because I'm not comfortable supporting any state that has a hierarchy of citizenship on the basis of religion or anything else. I think that in the way that we have in this country, equality should be enshrined in every country in the world. That's my belief.
All right.
The reason why this is fantastic is because it calls into question from a lot of people, like, what the fuck Israel's doing? Because a lot of people, a lot of normies who are watching Good Day New York are probably still somewhat oblivious to all of the inner workings of the Israeli apartheid. Okay? So when he reframes the question around equal rights, a concept that Americans actually respond positively to, associate positively with, it is a perfect parry. Okay? It's an excellent way to reframe the dangerous propaganda. I would even take it one step further if given the opportunity, be like, why do you want me to do a loyalty pledge to an ethno-state? I don't understand. That's currently doing a genocide. As you know, my opinion on this, as you know, the opinion of many international organs of justice and human rights groups and human rights advocacy groups, and the United Nations. Like, this is the popular sentiment, the overall popular opinion as well. Why do you demand that I do a loyalty pledge to this ethno-state? It makes no sense. It's ridiculous. In any case, yes, I'm going to talk about the negative reactions from the pro-Palestinian crowd as well towards the likes of Zohran. But another thing that took place in the campaign, the rat fucking that I was talking about, was Andrew Cuomo. Andrew Cuomo got endorsed by Jessica Ramos. Jessica Ramos is supposed to be one of the progressives. Jessica Ramos came out and endorsed Andrew Cuomo. Many people are suspecting that the reason why she did that is because because her campaign has experienced tremendous financial scrutiny. They don't have any money, and therefore she had this. Join DSA chat. Thank you for the 100 gifted subs. God damn. The DSA's doing ads in the fucking... DSA's doing ads in the chat. Respect. Yeah, here it is. Jessica Ramos making it clear to reporters that she doesn't think Zohran Mamdani has the experience to be mayor. That's why I'm here. She said she is doing this, obviously, because Cuomo is the number one choice right now. I don't think there's been any new polling since the race took place, and I'm very excited to see what those numbers will look like when they come out. But interestingly enough, she clearly sees Zohran rising in the aftermath of this mayoral race and decided to try and tank the Zohran momentum.
Anything. This is a very sober view of being 1 week away from early voting and understanding that there are two clear people heading the race. And I want to make sure that we have a mayor that understands how government works.
Mamdani's not that guy.
That's why I'm here. Question for them.
Yeah, freak. How does she sleep at night? Probably on a bed with pillows filled to the brim with dollar bills. So It is, yeah, here. This is one of the reasons most likely. Breaking. Jessica Ramos' campaign is $250,000 in debt. Crucially, Ramos' campaign owes tens of thousands of dollars to vendors and unpaid contracts that have not been reported to campaign finance regulators, according to 5 people familiar with their finances. Her latest filing showed her campaign had a balance of just $9,000, but that doesn't reflect the actual state of her books, her campaign said. One of those people familiar with her finances told Playbook her campaign is over $250,000 in debt. A large chunk of that is in dispute with a single vendor who has retained a lawyer and is threatening to sue Ramos. A Ramos campaign spokesperson confirmed that not all the outstanding invoices have been reported, a violation of the rules that could result in thousands of dollars in fines, blaming the treasurer's pregnancy complications. We are grateful to our treasurer for her service and support her focusing on her personal health. Any records not filled will be amended in the June 13th filing, the spokesperson said. That's probably one of the reasons. The other reason is, I assume, the most basic one. She thinks that, she potentially thinks that, what do you call it? Andrew Cuomo could win and then give her a comfortable position. Hasan, you really changed my life in regards to Israel. Most of my teenage years, I was pro-Israel because I was genuinely thought about it and accepted what I was told. Now I'm in my late 20s. When I started listening to you, you changed my perspective completely, and now I'm staunchly pro-Palestine. I had never seen someone show their perspective and what Israel was actually doing. Thank you for what you do. It makes a difference. Hell yeah, chatter. Thank you for being open-minded. Nothing says more about Jessica Ramos and her fragile ego and her slimy motivations than her being butthurt that AOC didn't text her back during January 6th. I wouldn't know. I texted her on January 6th and I hope she's okay, and never even heard back. She doesn't meet with local elected officials. That's what she said, which is not true. She does meet with local elected officials, but I guess Jessica Ramos personally had a gripe with AOC and some old fucking drama. Now, what makes this heel turn from Jessica Ramos incredibly indecent is here's a compilation, okay, from Chi Ase, friend of the show, HasanAbi head, one of the most brolic New York City Council members out there, if not the most brolic. You've seen his squatting videos. There was a thread. Wait, what? Did he delete the thread? Where's the thread? Or no, this isn't the thread. Do you guys have the thread that she posted? Let me see if I can find it real quick. But this heel turn from Jessica Ramos is extra funny because of all the times that Ramos presented herself in opposition to Andrew Cuomo while using language that I think was appropriate to use, as a matter of fact. Here it is. She says, I know people have beef with Jessica Ramos for personal reasons, but her and I have always had a fine, friendly working relationship. I've always respected her for the work she's done for our city and state. To see her throw all her values away and betray the New Yorkers she's been fighting for is heartbreaking and disgusting. Hurt by this one. Hard pass on Andrew from Jessica Ramos on March 1st. Thank you, Andrew, for finally launching your vanity comeback tour. Now we can go back to discussing the issues that matter to New Yorkers, like fixing the housing crisis you stoked, cleaning the streets you ignored, and making New York City affordable for working families once again. If New Yorkers want a corrupt bully with a record of alleged sexual misconduct, supporting Republicans, selling out to developers, and exacerbating crises, they can just stick with the current mayor. Andrew brings nothing to this race but baggage and outstanding debt of $5 million. Hard pass. But if Andrew wants a tour around the city, please don't hesitate to call. A lot has changed in the 25 years that he has last lived here. On March 23rd, Jessica Ramos. People may want to be courteous to Cuomo's face, but they don't forget. What the hell was that? But they don't forget the people he sent to die, the women he touched, or the people he left in our streets needing mental health care and housing. On October 26, 2024, Jessica Ramos says, I won't let Andrew Cuomo rewrite history. I remember if he played a key role in landmark legislation, it almost always involved blocking, gutting, and carving out loopholes for allies and donors. His achievements came from the efforts of activists, unions, and lawmakers. May 7th, Jessica Ramos tweets, great to be mentioned by Era Lewis on this piece. Speaking of Andrew Cuomo on The Intelligencer, Jessica Ramos says, he touts a 40-year career in tackling this crisis, and yet there is today more homelessness in New York than we have ever had before, State Senator Jessica Ramos told me. So I'm here to say, there is such a thing as the wrong experience. Yes, you could have been wrong for 40 years. You could have had the wrong priorities for 40 years. You could have had the wrong approach for 40 years. And it's time for there to be a new era of leadership. On December 19th, 2024, Jessica Ramos says, Andrew Cuomo remains the same remorseless bully who sexually harassed all those women, covered up the deaths of all those grandparents, and didn't sell all those books. Here's Jessica Ramos sending out an email on 5/15/2025. Cuomo is the Democratic Party's Trump, full stop. And it goes on and on and on, because obviously, as a progressive, as a progressive state senator who was running for mayor in New York, of course she understandably talked about all of the major issues that Andrew Cuomo had. If he were to actually become the next mayor, this would be a genuine problem for New York. Yeah, basically, this is right. Hello, I am Jessica Ramos, and I am endorsing child rapist mega Hitler. And those are my words. I stand by them, and I like them. I like those words because the alternative is very scary, which is a guy who wants to freeze rent. I am endorsing Andrew Cuomo, who I have called a rapist and a racist and a Trump-style individual, a grandfather annihilator. All of these things are true, by the way. I am endorsing this person because I think the alternative is someone who doesn't have the experience of doing those things. And I think New York City needs a guy who will kill more of the grandparents. Okay? Incredible. Endorsements like this one only prove that a lot of politicians, even those with mediocrely okay politics, are desperate socialites who get resentful when people with a lot of overlap to their positions outshine them. Pathetic as fuck. Absolutely. So yeah, I think this is a tremendously bad career move for her.
She completely flipped on this.
Coming out and sharing very personal details of what happens to us as women takes tremendous courage. This today is not about forgiveness or about forgetting anything. This is a very sober take on where we are in this race and the type of leadership that is required at a time.
Yeah, we need a guy who is going to do more sexual assaults. Okay? The reason why I, Jessica Ramos, a woman who cares about other women and their horrible experience with Andrew Cuomo, the reason why I'm endorsing the man who I've said is an alleged sexual assaulter and sexual harasser is because Mamdani doesn't do that, and I think New York needs a guy like that. New York needs a guy who's going to sexually assault people as mayor. Incredible. Yeah. People are laughing at Jessica Ramos now rightly, but she's not endorsing Cuomo to help her mayoral chances. She's doing it out of spite for further left political figures to curry favor with more evil donors and to enhance her job opportunities after she leaves office. Abso-fucking-lutely. Absolutely, that is what's going on. She's going to be another like Bakari Sellers type. It was Bakari Sellers, right? The one that was like supposed to be progressive, or Richie Torres. A lot of these guys come in on a wave of like progressive momentum, and then they turn around and try to rat fuck as many progressives as possible in a way to win favor with wealthy donors and you know, make a media career for themselves or recognize that this is the best possible path for them once they're outshined by another progressive that actually abides by those principles better and can more effectively communicate a progressive message. Shouts out to Brad Lander for not doing that, by the way, at least so far. you know? But yeah, that rat fucking is taking place. Meanwhile, AOC said, lol, Lamau, after Cuomo came out and said, she is endorsing me, I am not endorsing her. That's what Andrew Cuomo said of the Jessica Ramos endorsement. He turned around and said, I'm not endorsing her, she's endorsing me. Now, on the trail in New York, where Zohran Mamdani is holding an event with Zephyr Teachout and Lena Khan. Zohran repeats the statement that he made at the debate. He says, we need a mayor that doesn't have to pick up the phone from Bill Ackman when he calls. But of course, because I'm sorry, you know, some of these guys are in my community as well. We have some heated fans. Tensions rise from time to time. Wait, where is the fucking Aaron Mate tweet that I was going to pull up? You know, people start yelling at Zohran and act as though he is actually in opposition to the Palestinian emancipatory movement, rather than the most sympathetic politician out there. Okay? Aaron Mate says, I think Mamdani gave a pretty smart answer. I support Israel's right to exist with equal rights for all of its citizens. This highlights the fact that Israel is a supremacist state and that its supporters, including his rivals, oppose equal rights for all. I think it's self-defeating to confront him over that. Incredible stuff. Oh yeah, we have the More Perfect Union video that I want to watch as well. This one is a banger. Also, this moment happened right after, if you didn't see it already. A Palestinian woman stands up and says to this protester, I'm Palestinian, don't speak on behalf of Palestinians and please leave. And this protester starts screaming at her and speaking over her in response. Incredible stuff. Now, I don't think these people are like mentally ill or whatever, okay? It's a fucking genocide. And I think the appropriate thing to do, even when someone is behaving as though they are a wrecker in this process, is to offer sympathy. Okay? It is to offer sympathy to people who are even criticizing you, an actual stalwart ally of Palestinians. People do it to me too. People yell at me sometimes, okay? Mamdani co-founded a chapter of Students for Justice in Palestine at Bowdoin College. He advocates for equal rights for all in Israel and Palestine, supports BDS, opposes U.S. military aid to Israel, and rejects Israel's identity as a Jewish state, prioritizing equal rights over the racial, religious, and ethnic supremacy practiced under the current system. Okay? The notion that like he is in opposition to the Palestinian emancipatory movement is ridiculous. Okay? It's ridiculous. But you still have to keep composure and be sympathetic to people like this, because it is a fucking genocide at the end of the day. And therefore, given that it's a genocide at the end of the day, victims of said genocide are understandably going to be very angry at every single person that they think are not sufficiently aligned with their cause. You cannot always expect people to behave in a rational manner in protest. You cannot expect people to behave in a rational manner in protest against you, even if you are literally the most sympathetic to the Palestinian cause. It is what it is. It's going to happen. You're running for mayor, and I think Zohran does a pretty decent job of keeping his composure. What should not happen in this process is to turn around and you know, foster resentment, or to dunk on these people and say, oh, look how silly these guys are. We are actually, what do you call it? Fuck. We are I am so much more reasonable than these guys are. Like, to position yourself as like the reasonable one by like dunking on these people is not the appropriate direction. Some people entertain that. Some people jump into that. Some people love doing that. Okay? And I think it's a fucked up thing to do. It is not an appropriate thing to do. And I don't think Zohran is doing that, which is good.
But you know what makes them different? They side with the oppressors. You cheer on AOC. AOC signed to support the Iron Dome, and then you praise her. You praise her. You should be ashamed.
I gotta pee.
Get your hands off me. I don't want it. I'm a Muslim woman. You should not be touching me. You cannot be touching me as a Muslim woman.
Ma'am.
Get off me. You.
I hear you, and I want to just take a moment to actually address this question.
We have continued to be brutalized for protesting against genocide. Every single fucking day, protesting against graduations, and you still haven't said shit, but you will condemn direct actions against Zionist settlers. Have some damn shame. How do you pray every single day to Allah? How do you pray those 5 prayers, and what do you ask for him?
You made your point, let him answer.
There is a genocide.
Okay. I'm going to take a moment to just speak about this because there may be more people who have thoughts that they want to share. The first point that I want to say.
I don't care for his answer because he answered it a long time ago. Israel has a right to exist. Let him respond. What's your answer? What's your answer?
I'm glad that you're on your answer. I thank you. No, I just want to be very sincere. I understand what you were saying. I understand the immense concern on this question. It is horrific what we are talking about. What I have said during the debate, what I have said time and time again, I know it's not something at a point of agreement.
I don't think that person is an agent provocateur or a Fed, okay? Yes, she's yelling at Zohran, and another person did it too, okay? Honestly, I'm okay with using this to paint Zohran's position as a moderate, reasonable one. No, I don't think you should do that either. Okay? You have to understand, I don't know this person's background. Okay? I don't understand. I don't know that person's background. I don't know if they're Palestinian. I don't know if they've had family members that have died, or maybe they didn't. Okay? But regardless, you're like misguided anger in this process. It happens. You know? It happens. Demanding that like she take that anger and resentment and redirect it to a more appropriate vector that deserves the scorn and scrutiny in that moment is, you know, it's not going to happen. What do you do in this situation? I mean, I've encountered this situation in the past. You try to have a normal conversation. You try to be like, listen, I hear you. I totally understand why you're angry. Every single one of us has a role to play in this, and I'm trying to do what's best. I'm trying to do what's right. You might not agree with my tactics. You might not agree with what I have to say, but you should know that I am uncompromisingly in favor of truth and justice and the Palestinian emancipatory movement. Hasan, if you can't maintain your composure at a town hall when you have the mic, you shouldn't be the one who's handed the mic. If you're a leftist who cares about a movement and policy, you do the responsible thing and you have someone with a cooler head speak for you. I mean, she's angry. Zohran is a representative for her. I think that it's, this kind of stuff is going to happen. You're a politician. You're a politician that's running a campaign, that's running for mayor. It's not optically the best situation. It's not optically the best scenario. Do I think it's warranted to yell at Zohran in this process? No, but it doesn't fucking matter. My point is you have to be above that. Like, just now, at a discussion, Zohran Mamdani gets interrupted and questioned by a protester saying Israel has a right to exist for her endorsement for AOC. A Palestinian from the crowd gets up and defends them, a very telling moment.
still haven't said shit, but you will condemn direct actions against Zionist settlers. Have some damn shame. How do you pray every single day?
Zohran, why won't you call for the assassination of Israeli diplomats while running for mayor of New York as a Muslim socialist, please? Have some shame, please. What happens if Twitch bans political content? What will you do then for an occupation? What do you mean? I'll just fucking do it on YouTube. What? Why? How about you worry about yourself, okay? You worry about your own career, big dog. Like, motherfuckers will come in here and be like, ha, you're cooked now. Twitch is going to ban political content. It's like, dude, why don't you worry about your own job and I'll worry about my own future prospects? You know what I mean? Stop pocket watching.
How do you pray those 5 prayers and what do you ask for him?
You made your point, let an answer.
There is a genocide happening and yet you say that.
I'm going to take a moment to just speak about this because there may be more people who have thoughts that they want to share.
You cannot.
The first point that I want to say.
Let him talk! My people are fucking dying! You're not letting him answer! My people are fucking dying! I don't care for his answer because he answered it a long time ago.
I was at this event. There were 3 protests in total, and they brought a videographer. They said they didn't care when a Palestinian woman in the audience said Zohran was pro-Palestine and important in the city. Yeah, I mean, don't they get mad at you because you're rich? Why would they think that that would upset you? I don't know.
It's so hard to like to resist. Let him respond. What's your answer?
I'm glad that you want to hear my answer.
Yeah, why won't you change your party affiliation from Democrats to the Hamas party, Zohran? 100% a Latimer Bowman style infiltrator. Come on, I think that he's doing a decent job. I mean, he's doing a great job handling it with grace. That's what you got to do. That's the best thing you can do. Why do they think he isn't pro-Palestine? Like, I know he is, but what's the criticism? They're saying he's not sufficiently pro-Palestine. Okay? They're saying he is insufficiently pro-Palestine. You have to understand something, okay? Even if that person is unironically there to disrupt, even if that person there is unironically a wrecker, right? The whole purpose of wreckers is, the whole purpose of wreckers is to come across as though they are just like normal. It's the just curious Andes of real world politics, okay? The just curious Andes of real world politics is the wreckers in this situation. And just like the just curious Andes come in here and fucking be annoying, but present themselves as simply asking normal questions, you sometimes have to take it. You sometimes have to take it with grace, regardless, especially when you're running for political office. Okay? That's it.
I just want to be very sincere. I understand what you were saying. I understand the immense concern on this question. It is horrific what we are talking about. What I have said during the debate, what I have said time and time again, I know it's not something, a point of agreement all of us. I have spoken about my belief in every state's right to exist and its obligation to follow international law. And I have said and asked to recognize the right of a state to exist for a specific religion, and I am someone who believes in every right of the state to exist for equal rights for all.
State religious
And what I have also said, please, because I've listened to you and I would like for you to just listen to me, is that when we're speaking about Israel and we're speaking about Palestine, Israel has been in violation of those international laws for the last 18 months and beyond. And what I am calling for is the full compliance with international laws. I am proud to continue calling for that because at the core of this politics around corporate power, of international human rights, is the necessity of consistency. I am not going to budge on any of these principles. I have been consistent in them.
But yet you
and what I have
cross these
said.
principles when you say that Israel has a right to exist 20 months into a genocide. You crossed that line 3 times already. And then you praise AOC, who funded the Iron Dome.
I am proud to have been endorsed by Congressman AOC. And I think that I understand that there can be disagreement. I understand that. I do think, however, to call into question how I can consider myself Muslim is a step too far. And I would say that I appreciate your attendance, I appreciate the concern, and this is something that I would like to continue our conversation on corporate power, go to the question and answer, to ensure that everyone here has a chance to ask questions.
Pretty good job. I mean, she's not even wrong. She has a right to be angry. I know, chatters. Okay, if you're going to fucking sit here and entertain her line of questioning, then I'm sorry, but, you know, we are not Zohran, or we are not that person. This is optically fucking stupid, okay? If you want my honest assessment, optically it's fucking stupid, okay? It's so stupid. It's unimaginably fucking stupid. You have never even had any candidate that is remotely as on board with a tremendous amount of experience and pedigree in pro-Palestinian advocacy at a position as powerful as this, running up against the guy who was on the fucking legal team of Israel. Andrew Cuomo has petitioned to be on the legal defense of Israel. Shut the fuck up. Okay, you on the outside don't have to fucking hand it to people who are behaving like wreckers. I'm saying that it is understandable for someone to be angry and resentful, and even if it's like optically not sound, even if they're fucking wreckers, Zohran has a responsibility as someone running for office. How is this different than liberals telling you not to protest Kamala? I'm going to fucking get on a rocket ship to Mars and hopefully perish in the process. How is this different than Kamala Harris? Are you fucking stupid? Kamala Harris was a part of an administration that was doing a fucking genocide, who was running for office, and in the process of running for president, she refused to sidestep from the Biden administration's positions on the continuation of the genocide. If you think Kamala Harris and Zohran Mamdani are coming at it from the same framework, you are fucking stupid. You are the dumbest person on the fucking planet. You are literally dumber than an inbred hog that is an anti-vaxxer. Okay? I'm sorry. That is the stupidest fucking comparison I could ever encounter. Holy shit. God damn, dude. That is like, that unironically is the cartoonish depiction that liberals and right-wing reactionaries present the left as. You are that cartoon. Why are leftists so fucking ready to be like, no, I am that guy. I am the fucking joyless woke scold. I am the dumbest person you've actually ever met. What the fuck? Yeah. Every year, charities registered in New York State send 60 million tax-deductible donations to aid and abet Israeli settler violence. Today, we're launching legislation to ban that. May 16th, 2023. No, Bill de Blasio, this is my fault. I forgot the part where to be the mayor of New York, one must be a defender of Israel. January 25th, 2014. Yesterday, we ended our 5-day hunger strike the way we had ended each day of the week by reading the names of some 15,207 Palestinians killed over the last 2 months. There was a 5-year-old girl whose first name was my mother's and second name was my father's. If you think Zohran is not sufficiently pro-Palestine, no one is sufficiently pro-Palestine. You want him to strap himself on a fucking a cruise missile and launch himself into Tel Aviv. That's what you want, I guess. A person like this is like, the only thing he hasn't done is like direct acts of violence against the state at that point. Why are you not strapping yourself? Why are you not flying to Sanaa, the capital of Yemen, and strapping yourself on a Shahed missile and launching yourself directly at Tel Aviv? Why are you, a person running for mayor in New York City, not openly wearing an Al-Qassam Brigade's flag and calling for random spontaneous acts of violence against synagogues? Like, not just like Israeli envoys, but just like, why aren't you anti-Semitic? Why aren't you advocating for anti-Semitism or some shit? Okay. What the fuck? She never said that. Shut the fuck up, dumbass. I'm obviously exaggerating. Don't be like this. It's always, dude, it's always coming from dumb fuck anonymous people usually who go, oh, dude, if I was in that position, I would be fucking doing that. No, you wouldn't. And you wouldn't be in that position anyway. And no, I don't think this person is a wrecker coming from the Cuomo side, because this type of shit could so effectively show how moderate Zohran's position is to the average onlooker. Also, she did literally say, why aren't you calling for the deaths of military officials? Meanwhile, public relations at Chabad Lubavitch, founder of the Jewish Future Alliance, saying, let's call him out for what he is, an anti-Semite. It's frightening and shocking that he has this much support. This isn't about politics. It's about the safety of Jews in New York.
To Israel. They are going there, paid for by your tax dollars. They show up to Israel Day parades and they say we stand in solidarity. We want to let them know that there are 3 letters that we have as an answer to what is happening in Palestine. And it's BDS. Who are taking paid-for trips to Israel. They are going there, paid for by your tax dollars. They show up to Israel Day parades and they say we stand in solidarity. We want to let them know.
Obviously, this guy's fucking excited at the prospect of Palestinian children dying, right? Anyway, in the longer video, you see a Palestinian, I think, stand up and say, "I'm Palestinian. You've made your you've made your side be known. Please stop talking." BDS's boycott, divestments, and sanctions. I can't believe there's still people in this chat that don't know what the fuck BDS is. Anyway, Aaron Mate says, I think Mamdani gave a pretty smart answer. I support Israel's right to exist with equal rights for all its citizens. This highlights the fact that Israel is a supremacist state and that its supporters, including his rivals, oppose equal rights for all. I think it's self-defeating to confront him over that. It is. Having said that, however, you always have to maintain grace and charity, especially considering that there's a lot of eyeballs on this shit. And not only that, but also it is a genocide. If you believe it's a genocide, then yes, tensions are going to run hot amongst people who are victims, people who have immediate connections and immediate family members that have been victim to Israel's genocide. Why cover this when your city is currently at war with ICE, big dog? I don't know, because I spent the first 2 hours of the broadcast covering just that, and there are other news stories that are happening as well. Is that okay? Why do you think you're my producer? Anyway.